Okay, that means Bob's up. Bob's one of our perennials, of one of our regular readers. He is in the book. He has his own books, actually. And he won the Plum Prize for poetry. And Bob, was that 2000 or 1999? 1999. It's a kicking book. Check it out if you can. Bob, big one.
Excuse me. Rainy, you have the poem up here. Okay. Maybe I'll read it and claim it. Huh? I haven't been writing poetry in about a year because I was involved in some ridiculous research project at my university. But I wanted to read something, and quack, quack, quack. I went through my archives, and I found a poem that I hadn't read in many years. And it's a very old poem, but it's about a new season, spring, which, of course, I'm sure the idea will turn you off. But psychologically, if I dig into it, I realize that it reveals one of the deep complexes that all poets feel, sort of Freudian or post-Freudian thing, which is, of course, guitar envy. You know, we get up, we stand up here and blab on, and the guys who get laid are the ones who have guitars. You know. At any rate, I wrote this a number of years ago, but I still think it's a little bit of fun. It's called The Coming of Spring, and take the title any way you want. Okay. Out of the powdery, noiseless snow, from behind smoky rocks, half obliterated by the sun, chewing its way through the walls of houses, singing wheels, the croaking of flowers opening, laughter, hoarse, stiff chords loosening, a new resiliency in the melting soot, deafening, hordes of children at the edge of town, welcoming the young man whose lips are purple, who carries a guitar larger than their brothers, who can't keep from smiling, though his mission. They pick at the taut strings and call to him the song we heard before our birth. And the young man can't keep from smiling, and the children touch him, and he is cold, marmoreal, but he moves swiftly into the town, and the children follow. They know that he knows the song. They remember, though it was before, though they heard it with no human ear, though it was the tune that strung their generation. And the young man has been in the mountains for the winter, has practiced the song, cracked open rocks for the notes, stripped trees, snapped the necks of rabbits, snagged a beaver whose pelt he wears about his loins like a babe. But it is not his song, not the one he knew before his birth, which was long ago. He remembers only the quarry and his patient, desperate father, and how it hurt, the mallet shaping his elbow, and that there was no tune to be born to, only the raucous laughter of the men in the pit, sweating, striations of their biceps visible, the pattern of chords laughing at him, his feet still of the marble block, unhewn, immobile, but his father's patience, the first lesson. The second, to fashion an instrument for a woman, the old man, my father, scratched his and said he didn't know. He hadn't a woman since before when the slavers took him, and only used his to piss, which I didn't get. What's wrong with pissing when wine steams from your pores? But by God, the old man, he was determined. And though the others laughed and the pit, it rocked, he got a stalk of weed and beat on it with his mallet and sprinkled the pulp with marble dust and rolled it up, put the mash in a bear's intestine, and we went out and got us a ewe to see if it worked. When the real thing comes along, son, you'll know it. It'll have the shape of this here guitar, but don't expect her to say what you want right off. You didn't learn to play this overnight either. Well, the news hit town, it was coming, had a pecker, played music, drank beer. Nothing new, but the way it hit town. Word had it, fuck the numbers. Zeros, in fact. This was not good news. It was not natural. It had to be stoned or stupid, or else it was just trying to make trouble. And if it was trouble it wanted, trouble it'd get. Unless, of course, it really wanted the trouble it'd get. Then it should be ignored, which was not easy. Buttholing zeros beneath the statue of winter. Come on, man. Funny. Well, it just wasn't done until he did it. And this turned some people on, others off, and some just watched and waited to see what the zeros thought. Dear your zero-ness, one girl wrote. I saw you in the park with Spring. How is it? And another thing, they say you're indivisible and can't have a baby zero. But if you do, please name it Edith Crabtree, after that damn abstraction who gave me a zero in arithmetic. Now that she's dead, my teacher I mean, I often wonder why they say, like a cash register, I get my kicks hanging zero. The zero, of course, couldn't read, so she wrote back explaining her position beneath the statue of winter and left the rest to the girl's imagination. Spring, she said, he's always behind you, trying to fill you in. I look up from my book. The lake is halved by a silver streak. Beyond it is prickly. Near me a rumble. I think this is spring. I look down. I read. The test of how a poet is going to divide his lines is the test of what he is. I look up from my book. The lake is full of tin-snipped triangles, except one spot near me which is smooth. I look down. I think this is summer. Thank you.
All right. Are you guys doing all right? All right? You tight? Tight is right? I haven't done this yet, but I have to thank Mad Mike for working with me on the anthology, because it was really a great experience to spend a lot of time with him. No, you know, But it was great, and I just want to let y'all know that there will be another one. There will be another anthology, and we already have a title for it. So, if you want to submit to it, then please either send me an email at Pusan Poetry Plus, and that's with 3 P's and no B's, or hand it off to either Sarah, myself, or Mike, and we'll make sure it's right. So thanks so much for listening, and if you want to be in the next book, keep coming and keep going. The only requirement it has to be read from the stage. Okay, next up we have 3 or 4 more readers, and then we're going to hit the music finale, and we're going to ride music out of town. So up next we have Dinah, followed by Gary and Terrell and Paul and Steve, and then we be jamming.
Good evening, everyone. If you don't have the book yet, get it. It's really good. I'm happy to be amongst the talent in that book, and happy to be amongst the talent in this room. Terry, really great reading tonight. That took a lot of balls. Good luck wherever the wind takes you. Okay, the piece I wrote took a long time. I was having a great deal of difficulty with it, so actually I would appreciate any constructive criticism afterwards. I feel like I need to make some changes, but let's see what happens. Anyway, the piece I'm going to read to you is called The Doppelganger Pantomime, a reflection of someone else's prime mover. One Tuesday morning, I waited until you had safely left your suburban fortress for another day, another dollar, wage-slave tokenism. I dressed myself in your Hugo Boss suit to, 1, be your doppelganger for kicks, and to try to understand your avant-garde manifestations churning the sole purpose of your banal existence. I saw beyond the carnal visions of your stampedes and stirrups into the mayhem of mantelpiece marriage and Walmart babies. I fondled your personal hate parade, remote control, and gorged on your Kellogg's culture. I parted the $1,000 curtains woven from the fabric of industry horrors. Through the window, the purge of daybreak unleashed the shadow of rat race transmissions and the sinister gross nature of its presence. I realized the congenital engineering failures of your social conditioning, much like that of your blessed Ford V8. Off you go, Mr. Rich and Vulgar Day Raider, to enjoy your contact habits with the morbid throng, chomping at the bit, to bear witness to the superlative achievements the piranhas themselves systematically gouge each other for. Your every nuance an assaulting coordinator of symbol systems. Yes, feel free to go about your meaningful day, pimping the articles of misplaced childhood, pawning condemned lifesavers, selling wasteful double-taskers, and merchandising your oh-so-engrossing, pander-to-me instruments of moral decay. Yes, by all means hex my culture, you pretentious beast of commerce, the Jim-dandy rambling emblem of vegetative cognizance, unaware of the knife in the back that friendly finance is wielding for you. Your hard drive filled with Corpus Christi cookies, your mailbox filled with Ed McMahon's sugar-coated smile of paid endorsements. Mental note, no anthrax present here. Wow, how many credit cards do you carry, Mr. Plastic Fantastic? I'm sure the wife ain't too happy about the missed mortgage payments and the late payments on your car loan. Is that why she's having sex with a virgin and you're having sex with a virgin? Your sprogs appreciate your Happy Meal efforts, but crave the quality time missed while you frolic with the good old boys after a hard day at the office. You skip the Western banal lethargies of getting to know you cliches and headed straight to the men's room to grind hips with someone you thought was a hooker, but you don't remember paying. You return home to find a pillow and a blanket waiting for you on your Spiegel sofa. Your wife gave you an icy kiss and said, "Welcome to the pleasure dome. Now fuck off." Cross-contamination of insecurity ensued. just when you saw a lotus flower blooming, the mortar shells of rejection started booming. Luckily, you found redemption from the methodical brutality in Thursday night 10-pin spares and keeping up with the Joneses' Sunday salvation sessions. I contemplate the burn on the cuff from the $120 habanero you smoked at the club last weekend. The stale odor of Wall Street Journal resonates from the haute couture cologne stagnating on the collar. So what is it that qualifies you? What's your angle? Busy bee buzzing for what prime mover? Dreams of your Hilton Head plantation with your comforting surplus of capital investment? Thunder-pumping scarabs and Shelby cobras. Somehow you've invented these needs to justify peace of mind amidst your acquisitions. But inside you're torn apart. I'm pretty sure somewhere along that benighted path you lost your way, unsure what direction to take. You held the hand offered to you, but failed to grasp your own impulsive nature. And now, I must climb inside your day. On Wednesday morning, I quickly dressed in the understatement of Emporio Armani pret-a-porter. Wow, how that wool nestles ever so fluid down my thighs. No more knockoffs for me. I pack up your spare calfskin Prada briefcase with a Palm Pilot and a new Motorola. Yes, gadgets make me feel crucially plumb and important. At the door we go, and I climb into the shotgun seat, and I dare say I'm enjoying the luxury leather of this new sport meat over the dingo balls in my dad's old Ford van. The crackling noise of Ted Nugent on the 8-track is quickly forgotten by the cool sounds of Moby on a Rockford Fosgate. Jesus, he even got a power amp and a bass cannon. Yes, the honey wagon alone does indeed elevate you to the next level of cool and suave. We turn off the expressway and head to the nearest Starbucks. I'm feeling a tad squirrely at this point as the siren and I had called a Korean armistice some time ago. Luckily, that harlot won't recognize me in my clandestine camouflage of haute couture cloth. My neurons are aflutter as I try to blend with the scenery. Blend, like a caramel frappuccino. Good God, man, put down that New York Times and let's go. On the way out, I purchased an apple strudel and a new French coffee press. Once at the office, I realized how closely I had come to the edge. Nearly thwarted by the ruse of comfort and convention, I gather my wits about me as your colleagues flock like Daytona seagulls around the water cooler. Hearty handshakes of hypocrisy hide their prepared-to-pounce envied daydreams to ride the long red shag carpet in your custom leather Italian loafers. Waiting patiently to weed out the old and the weak, the jackals prowl around in their jackal ways, waiting for their jackal god. Opportunity knocks. It's survival of the fittest in a dog-eat-dog, climate-controlled atmosphere 50 stories high. Another monolith of social refashioned thinking. The blistering reality blinds me with searing recognition. Indeed, it's not just you. You're all in it for one thing, acquisition. Whether it be building your personal empire on the land and the lives of Bangladeshi children, remodeling the kitchen, planting a garden, or buying that French coffee press. Whatever their walk of life, everyone still seeks to gain, though some gain more than others. You have more than me, and I have more than him. All of us secretly harbor recognition of status and possession. After all, isn't that the purpose of your $150 Nikes and my $129 Doc Martens? Perhaps a silent advertisement that if he's got those shoes, he must have a lot of other cool stuff too. It's like the lure of turkey on Christmas, or the smell of a rotting steak tied above the fur trapper's iron butterfly. Hell, birds do it, bees do it, purple-ass baboons do it. Yes, we all like to impress each other one way or the other. The obvious first is the careful purchase and preening of your plumage, from the sickeningly ornate and ostentatious to the quiet and subtle undertones of thrift shop chic. You bought those CDs because you thought they were cool. You think they're cool, so others will think they're cool too. And before you know it, everybody's got the bandwagon bug. The symptoms of the bug are often short-lived. Lest we forget, I've fallen and I can't get up t-shirts. The Ronco electric food dehydrator. Posh, scary, and those other priggish puppets, or when the mass exodus to the Seattle underground quickly spread the convention virus faster than any middle-aged plague. Oh, that Nirvana guy blew his head off. I better run to the nearest HMV and grab all the spins I can find. Oh, his wife jammed heroin in her arms when she was pregnant. That's so counterculture. I better download all her stuff too. The bounty of your ventures yields fruitful remunerations, calculations, justifications, perpetual rejuvenation, and unsurmounted qualification. The beepers call till you rise and the other guys fall. Hell, it's all for one to snatch it all. Breaking the rules is a standard maxim, and the anomaly of altruism is beyond your grasp of rational cerebration or your most sacred of progressive notions. And I am no better than you. You are no better than him, and he no better than her. And so the ants go marching on. And so the deconstruction of your system fuels the construction of my own inner bedlam. There is no distinction between us. I am a covetous consumer and an avaricious account holder. I look in the mirror and I see you, and so ensnared amidst the turning, churning, abysmal maelstrom of pop culture, because in the end, being the underworld outcast, downcast, lower caste, the cast aside is also a coveted paradigm. The material pariah is no more than the materialist, and so we unite in servitude of the almighty autocratic dollar.
Oh, I'm having so much fun. Up next, we have a second or third timer at Pusan Web, or second timer. Sorry, I keep forgetting. Pusan Poetry Plus. Put your hands together for Gary. Thank you.
I have 3 short things. Really? The state of America. The phone rang earlier today and I picked it up and I said, "Hello?" And a man on the other end said, "Is this Gary Gray?" And I said, "Yes, it is. Who's calling?" And he said, "Yeah, hi, this is George Washington, and I'm sitting here with Jefferson next to me, and we wanted to tell you a few things." And I said, "Why me?" And he said, "Excuse me, I believe I said I was the one who wanted to do the talking." God, that's the problem with Americans nowadays. They're so damn rude. And I said, "You know, you really didn't have to use that language." And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry. It's just that I've been dead for so long, I lose control of all of my manners." Well, anyway, I just wanted to tell you 3 things. Now, you know, we didn't have much of an idea what we were doing when we started this country here. We didn't have much experience in nation building, so I could see how our Constitution could get misconstrued. And then he put a dramatic pause and said, "When we said we had a right to bear arms, we meant to protect ourselves from a government gone wrong, and not that you could kill people over $20 cash. And when we said we had freedom of religion, we included the separation of church and state, because freedom of religion could also mean freedom from religion. And lastly, when we said freedom of speech, we had no idea you'd burn a flag or paint pictures of Christ doused in urine or photograph people with fruit shoved up their anuses. But hell, I guess we have to grin and bear it. If we ban those things, then we'll have to ban books too. And we can't have that." And I said, "But there are schools that have banned books, George." And he said, "Oh, have a nice day, Gary." And I said, "You too, George." Click. My mother's weekday morning. Marjorie Mulcahy, you are the next contestant on The Price is Right. One channel up, Oprah is on. Two channels up, dialing for dollars draws your attention. Where are your child-rearing senses, mother? My nosy, preoccupied mother. She heads to have a dump after Billy heads off to school at 8:25. 5 minutes later, the Sony Trinitron talks to us until my pee soaks through my diaper. Mom has not been the same since her hysterical hysterectomy. She now books more facials. I get less baths. She's managed to lick her lipids. I pass more gas. Barney Rubble, take me away from her 21 channels and pay-per-view cable TV and give me Cartoon Town. I'll be happy there in my own uneventful and cheerful way. Time for my nap. My lie. I never lie stupidly. My lies are better than yours. I always look you in the eye. My liar's stare is better than a whore's. Does it make me a better liar that I methodically, carefully justify every itsy-bitsy teensy lie? Well, yes, because a lie believed is better told. A lie believed is worth more gold. I could end this now and leave you wondering about the sins of my lying, but wonder no more about my lying action. My lie, the most beautiful face is Michael Jackson.